You?
I do.
Okay, why don't you go first, please?
Okay. I, Rob Hallberg, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a planning commissioner for the City of Hastings, counties of Dakota and Washington, and State of Minnesota, according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hallberg. Mr. Matsky? You're on mute, Todd.
I don't have it in front of me. Can you send it to me real quick? Pass me up and come back to me real quick. I can find it in my email. Okay. I can read Chris's.
John, you're on mute now.
I can put my name in where Chris is at.
That would be fine.
All right. I, Todd Matsky, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Hastings, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Planning Commissioner for the City of Hastings, counties of Dakota and Washington, and the State of Minnesota, according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Matsky. Commissioner Peters?
I, Melanie Peters, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a Planning Commissioner for the City of Hastings, counties of Dakota and Washington, and State of Minnesota, according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Teichen?
I, Chris Teichen, do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a Planning Commissioner for the City of Hastings, counties of Dakota and Washington, and State of Minnesota, according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Okay, well, thank you, Commissioners, and welcome again to our two new commissioners, Commissioner Teichen and Commissioner Peters. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
All right. Yep. Welcome. Next one is approval of the minutes from December 28th, 2020. And this would be for the commissioners that were present during the meeting. So Commissioner Peters and Teichen, when it comes to the roll call vote, you'll abstain. You weren't here for the previous meeting. So, commissioners, any comments, corrections, additions, subtractions? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner
Hallberg.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Romans on the second. And John, we'll do a roll call. Normally, we would do this all at once if we were together. But because we're on Zoom for Commissioner Peters and Teichen, we do an individual roll call for each vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Romans?
Aye.
Commissioner Hallberg?
Aye.
Sina? Commissioner Matsky?
Aye.
Commissioner Peters?
Aye.
Commissioner Best? Commissioner Teichen?
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. Passes 5 ayes and 2 abstentions.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda here is a public hearing. It's for Simply Secure Storage, special use permit, site plan 2021-07-2030 for 2030 Spiral Boulevard. And staff report by Justin Fortney. Justin?
Thank you, Chair. John, can you give me the ability to share my screen?
Check it out now, Justin. I think it's set.
Thanks. All right, the proposed site for the site plan is 2030 Spiral Boulevard. It's across this intersection from Voyager Parkway. We've got a couple of photographs here. These are dated. Since this time, there's been some topsoil tiles that were removed. The relatively flat. The site is along a trail similar to the applicant's last project, which is just south of this property, circled in red. Lightbourne Court. Photographs taken of that site during construction. A lot of doors. And then this is taken from one of the ends of the building. You can see the materials are metal siding. It's not the typical corrugated metal siding that you would have on a typical pole shed building. It has hidden fasteners. Is a different. The building also includes some putting of appearance type material. Final picture. Buildings. The elevation drawings of the proposed buildings on the site are going to be relatively similar to the other buildings. There are going to be some man or service stores on some of the larger units. See how those would be in the building. There would also be some windows facing the Spiral Boulevard elevation side. The applicant also mentioned going to 4 feet tall on with the brick and the wainscoting rather than the 3 feet of the last project. Is considering using this product for the new buildings. It's a different metal type siding. Also, it doesn't have fasteners, and it's got a slightly different profile than the other buildings. The site plan of the site. This is just the north half of the site because of it's hard to share it on the screen. The setbacks of the site are going to be similar to surrounding development. Yeah, similar to the last project. I think slightly greater setbacks from a lot of the different property lines. The drive aisles are going to be really wide compared to what you'd find in a parking lot. This would allow for people to better maneuver around for unloading, also to allow people to still pass them if they're up to one of the overhead doors, with even greater setbacks between the on the west side of the site, those being fairly large. That's more for business type of storage, and so they'll see some larger vehicles pulling in there to access those sites to make sure the ability to properly maneuver be quite a bit larger at 49 feet of maneuvering area. Applicant did include a station showing that there's enough room for a fire truck to maneuver around there. The fire department doesn't know if that would meet their largest vehicle, which is their ladder truck that they bring out on every call. But the fire department, the fire marshal said that they wouldn't be bringing their fire trucks into a site like this. If there was any type of a call there, they would just set up at the entrance, and they would come on foot, so they're not putting their vehicles in jeopardy. And they don't have any problem with the site layout duration. There will be a gate again on this site, and the fire department would need access to that It's the applicant said, of course, they would have. Site will also have fencing around it. Be more like a decorative style fence in the front, kind of like the wrought iron style, with probably aluminum along the front, and then probably a chain link fence, I would imagine, is being proposed around the. And then this is looking at the south end of the site. There's of course a loop around the smaller buildings, and then where there's that wide drive aisle, widen all the way to 54 feet, and allowing even large vehicles to turn around and leave the site that way. Landscaping plan. The landscaping regulations require trees and shrubs based on perimeter size and also the amount of impervious of driving aisles and parking lots. The balance of the landscaping materials are being shown to be located to the most visible areas of the site that can be seen from the curving spiral boulevard around the site and along the pathway there. Just taking a strict look at the requirements of the ordinance, it did show that additional trees are needed and several shrubs, which the applicant said he's issue in supplying. And then staff did question 5 dwarf trees, type of a crab apple tree. I think it's actually these 5 here. Concern there is that just doing some research on those tree varieties, it looks like they can max out anywhere between 5 feet and 10 feet. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, they may be closer to a shrub than a tree. But if this variety that he's looking at from a supplier is expected to reach 10 feet, that would be fine if they could just provide us with those assurances. Otherwise, I think it's best to substitute a little bit larger tree for those. Thing to discuss would be the special use permit, which is the requirement for the zoning of the area is I1 in the industrial park zoning district. It allows manufacturing uses, warehousing uses, and wholesaling uses. Use of mini storage is geared towards more individuals, retail use, individuals coming and going there for their own storage needs, which could be allowed other retail use in this district if it gets approval of a special use permit. The purpose of reviewing a special use permit is to make sure that that use fits into the character of the area. That are allowed by special use permit are generally thought to be okay in that district, but because of some of the unique of those uses, important to each specific site and consider if any conditions are necessary to make sure that continues to fit well with the surrounding area. Reviewing this site with the previous one that was approved last year, believe that any other conditions are necessary. While it's more of a retail use, there's not going to be a lot of retail customers coming and going. The use of the site is going to be more for medium and long-term storage of individuals, and so there won't be a great deal of traffic or needs. And also this site is on a fairly main thoroughfare, so it's not likely to cause any issues having a lot of traffic on a small side street or cul-de-sac in the area, especially coupled with the low volumes of that are expected. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. before or after the holds a public hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Justin. I think we'll go right into the public hearing. And have we received any last minute comments on email that weren't included?
I have not received any comments myself.
Okay. When looking at the participants, I see we have 2 attendees. If you wish to speak for the public hearing, use the raise hand feature that's on your screen so that we know that you want to be heard. And then if you could state your full name and address prior to speaking. And again, we have 2 attendees aside from us, and one just has a phone number, and one I have a Paul Erhard who is logged in. Either one of you wish to speak, go ahead and use the raise hand feature. And Justin, is Chad on with us at all? The applicant?
Not to my knowledge,
Okay.
unless
Yeah,
he's the phone number.
I think he's the phone number, and I think he may have just raised his hand here. I'll bring him into the meeting here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chad, I think you're in the meeting, if that's you.
Yes, thank you.
Chad, did you have some comments?
I think Justin did a really good job. We are going to be just revisiting a little bit of the landscaping plan to make sure at least meeting or exceeding the landscaping, and probably, not probably, we will be replacing those Tina crabs as they are dwarf. They probably top out at about 10 feet. So we will absolutely be replacing those with something with a little bit more substance. And I guess thank you for the team for working with us so far on this. And we feel this is a good project, hopefully for Hastings and for that spot in particular. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chad. If you could just stick on with us for a little bit, I might have some questions for you after public hearing it. So, I only have one other attendee, and I don't see any other raised hands. But just a couple seconds. Anybody else wish to speak? Go ahead and hit the raised hand feature. Okay. I do not see any raised hands, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. Chair.
Romans.
Just a quick question for the developer or Justin. I didn't see anything in here, but I'm assuming there's no outside storage, correct?
There will be no outside storage. Correct.
Perfect. That's all I had for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Romans.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It was Chris.
Oh, okay. Mr. Teichen, go ahead.
And, excuse me as I kind of wrap up to speed here, do things in Hastings. I have a few questions about this. One, I know we mentioned the fence. Is that within our fencing? Do we have a fencing standard that meets?
Yeah, for commercial fencing, it allows fences of it pretty much any height.
Okay.
As long as there is not, I think you can do like razor wire or something like that if you got special permission, but generally that's not allowed either. And it's not imposed.
And then I think I read in here that runoff has to still have to be approved. Drainage.
Something that, yeah, the engineering department reviews, and they would have to approval by the time they get the building permit.
Okay.
If there's any details to work out on that.
I'm guessing it's blacktop, asphalt pavement. And then is there any, just kind of looking at here, there's gaps enough in between the ends of the road and the fence to pile up snow in the wintertime?
I think I
look
did.
at?
Yeah, when it's typically something that, they're going to have to contend with if they don't have enough room for their snow storage. They'll have to, truck it off site. Even times when they do have ample area, if there's a year where we get a lot of snow, that is something that their removers have to contend with.
Okay.
I think I did see some notes somewhere in the plans about snow storage area.
Yeah, if it's there, I missed it. And
Is it developer, Chad? So we have a substantial amount of snow storage planned on the south side of the site, approximately 40 feet by probably about 150 or 160 feet. And then as a backup, we also have about a 40-foot by 40-foot section toward the front. So.
And then my last question, is the city okay with the language as far as around the landscape plan? Need to be improved. 9. To me, that just seems kind of vague, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, we're fine with that. We'd like to see we can see those on a revised plan, or he can make a sketch on the existing plan of what he would propose to do there.
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thanks, Commissioner Tyken. Good questions. I had a very similar question on the fencing when they did their first phase, and their finished product is exactly what they said it would be, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. So it was spot on. So I go by it almost every day. So,
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I have a question.
Commissioner Maskey.
So Dakota Net shows that it is still owned by the city of Hastings, correct? Property being currently transferred to a new ownership and being developed.
That is correct. The city of Hastings owns the property as part of our industrial park. We have a preliminary agreement with Mr. Sirwawa to transfer that property upon him receiving the permit approvals for site plan and special use permits. So once he would receive those approvals, then we would move to close on the property.
So he is purchasing the property. There's no long-term lease or anything like that on the property, correct?
That is correct. He would be purchasing that outright.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, commissioners? If not, I do have one question. I know this all gets pre-approved and looked at ahead of time before we get the report. As far as the placement of the driveway, or entrance, I should say, which is very close to a 3-point intersection. That particular intersection is a lot busier than the Lightbourne Court intersection used for the other project, their first half, their first phase. Also, if your commissioners, if you're not familiar with that area, that is a hill, and that crosswalk is actually right at the top of a blind hill. And so that entrance out of that development where Rushmore Drive is and Yellowstone and Voyager Parkway, it's the only entrance out of that neighborhood currently. So during the morning rush and sometimes in the afternoon, especially in the evening, that particular intersection is very busy. And then we have the crosswalk. A lot of people use that trail. I don't know if you noticed that, Chad, when you built your first phase.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a very heavily used trail. And I know there's not going to be a lot of traffic going in and out of the storage facility per se, which is fine. What I'm more concerned about, and maybe it's not something that it's even within our purview, is the construction process, and to ensure that construction vehicles aren't staging on Spiral Boulevard, because there isn't any room there for that at all. Not even pickup trucks. And so I'm wondering, have you addressed that with the contractors? And have you thought about that or given thought to that, since it's so close to a major intersection for that area?
We obviously will have to do that. It isn't honestly something I'd given a lot of thought to, but as I think back to last spring, Yeah, there were definitely some, there's just going to be a lot of movement. So yeah, we will have to come up with a safe way to deal with that. And I wonder if it'd be quite possible to use our same Lightbourne Court area as there are, vehicles setting up and whatnot. It's probably going to be probably relatively during the excavation stage. So it was probably when it would mostly be, because after we've got our excavation done, they're going to be coming driveways and gravel on site. So it probably would be about that 10-day period. And we're looking to deal with a local excavator there who's got it planned, I think, for about 7 or 8 days. And probably the key thing, and I'm thinking this as I talk, we really, it's called cuts and fills. We really aren't going to have a lot of black, just the way it's going to work. We've worked it out. There really isn't going to be much coming on or going off. About the only thing we're going to have is some class 5 gravel. Otherwise, all the black topsoil and whatnot is going to be kind of kept on site. And so I guess where I'm going with this is there isn't probably going to be nearly as much traffic from the excavation or from the dump trucks on this site as last site, because we've kind of figured that out. But so I think, we will have about a 2-week period in April, and we'll have to think that through.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, because Spiral Boulevard wasn't built to accommodate any parking on it. And my concern is what we had when they removed the topsoil, the mounds of soil, the dump trucks actually did stage on Spiral, and they also actually staged on Yellowstone, and they blocked the entrance to Yellowstone Drive when they were doing it. And when it forced us to go around them, but the problem is people were in the crosswalk. And so when you get around the trucks, you don't see them in the crosswalk until you're right up on the crosswalk. And that's dangerous. And then when you're coming up the hill, it's completely blind until you get to the top of the crest of the hill. And so I'm just concerned for the safety of the residents who are using that crosswalk, and also the vehicular traffic that's going back and forth east to west, and then coming out of the development, turning on to Spiral Boulevard. I just don't want to see any accidents there, because you do have to literally go completely in the other lane to get around any other stopped vehicle on Spiral Boulevard, if that is the case. So if that's something you could just give some attention to, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. That's a good common sense suggestion.
And so I'm assuming, Justin, the city looked at the placement of the driveway and it meets all the city requirements as far as where it needs to be engineering wise?
Yeah, I mean, it's, separated almost as far as it can be.
Right.
So
Okay.
luckily there's not going to be a lot of traffic from the site.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions, comments, or suggestions? All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion. Do I hear any motions to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, Commissioner Maskey. And do I hear any further discussion? Otherwise, I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Halberg on the
Halberg.
second. Okay. All right. And John will take the roll.
I'll take the roll. Commissioner Tyken,
Aye.
Commissioner Best,
Aye.
Commissioner Peters, Commissioner Matsky,
Aye.
Chair Messina,
Aye.
Commissioner Hallberg,
Aye.
and Commissioner Romans.
Aye.
And I will note that passes on a 7-0 vote to recommend approval. Where this will go is to the City Council on their March 1st meeting for final action. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John. Other business.
Other business. Well, it's been a little while since we've all met together here, so hopefully life has been treating you well. Although we have not had any planning commission meetings, we remain busy with new development coming forward to the spring, and I think we'll see part of that over the next couple of meetings here. We are under construction as with the Heritage Ridge subdivision of General Sieben Drive. That first phase of 9 lots, I think, has been spoken for as far as building permits. They have application in for their next phase of 31 lots. And so we hope to bring that to Planning Commission in March for approval of that. Along with that, we also have the apartment project, the senior apartment project along County Road 47, which will be 75 units of assisted and memory care units. The final plat for that subdivision should be before us on the 8th as well at that next Planning Commission meeting. We'll also be considering a preliminary and final plat for South Oaks of Hastings 4th edition, which is 33 lots along around 31st Street and Olson Drive in the southern end of town. That'll be brought forward for your consideration. And we also got the plat in for Villas on Pleasant. Now, we did take action on this last year as a two-phase development. We approved the preliminary plat for the entire subdivision, which was about 36 lots altogether. They had planned to do it in two phases. They had increased demand, and they are now going to do the entire project as a single phase, which will require them to come back with a new final plat. So nothing changed from what you saw last fall, but certainly good news with the market that they are expanding the entire development in a single phase. So that one will come forward to you, I think, at the last meeting in March. So I think I got the next two meetings in March spoken for you, and development continues there, which is great on the residential side. Our permits have been up from last year with COVID, and they continue to move forward this year. We have a number of conversations with people that are kicking things around for residential development as well. So hopefully more of that to come here, so I can stand for any questions.
Great. Thanks, John. Any questions? Any other business from any other commissioners? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Romans. And a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Best on the second. Therefore, we are adjourned.